So what were you telling me? What
I was
happened to you?
telling you, I booked an airline ticket. The world is opening up, and I can't stop thinking about this crazy experience that I had a year or so ago before the pandemic when I was in the airport. I was in Florida flying back into New York. So picture this: I've got two carry on bags on one arm, three on the other, and a cup of coffee. And I hear something over the microphone.
Travel light.
Can't figure out what they're saying. I hear something about blah, 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 American Express discount ticket. You get $200 off. So I'm so excited thinking I bought this ticket with American Express. I'm going to put all my bags down and run up to the lady at the counter. The lady at the counter where nobody was, right? Empty lady at the counter. So I run up there
Lady
and
at the counter.
I said, listen, I bought my ticket with Amex, but they didn't give me this $200. So she takes a look at me, puts her hand on the desk like this, and says, my, we have selective hearing, don't we, ma'am? And I went ballistic inside. I was like, who do you think you are? My fingers couldn't tweet fast enough at Delta Cares, which is the handle that Delta uses for customer service, about how I felt that this particular agent needed to be trained better. And I was so hurt and upset. Well, actually, I couldn't get the discount because I didn't buy it with this crazy Amex version of the card that was a Delta card.
It wasn't even their fault.
It wasn't anything. So I get on the plane, I tweet to them. Now, I expected them to take 2 days to get back to me. The average time, by the way, is 3.6 days for a business to get back to a complaint. You know how long it took them to get back to me?
How long?
3 minutes. It was time stamped. Just in case I was on the plane and I got the Wi-Fi, I paid for Wi-Fi. They wanted to know that I responded because they knew how important it was to respond to some type of criticism or negative review on social media.
You know, and that's an amazing example of what I can't remember who called it this, but this picking up the social telephone, right? Where you're acting like it's almost like a telephone because people really do want to be heard. And it's a great example of somebody really coming up and taking care of something. Unfortunately, a lot of small business owners just don't have that kind of staff like Delta does and just can't keep on it that closely. Now, we're going to talk to you a little bit about social listening software and all this stuff. But first, what we'd love to tell you is maybe reconsider your idea about how harmful bad reviews are. I mean, you just heard an example of somebody really taking care of a review, really being on top of it, doing some amazing stuff. But we're going to show you some things that just might surprise you about the actually how dangerous these things that we all fear, they keep us up at night. How dangerous are bad reviews? We're going to tell you a little bit about that. So, and then of course we are going to tell you that, you know, you need to have a plan. And Robin's got a great thing for you on that. Actually, what is it? 4-step, 5-step, 6-step? What is it? I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. It's whatever. All right. So the first thing is, can bad reviews really hurt your business? Well, here's the thing. You know, bad reviews can actually make your business look more authentic, right? Because you allow them up there. It's like you're basically putting yourself out there going, go ahead, hit me. I'm confident enough in my product or my service. I can make this work. I can make people happy, right? Again, we're not saying to be a jerk and dismiss people. It's not what we're saying. Hear us, please. Okay? That's not what we're doing. So you really show that that hey, listen, we're authentic. We're here and we can take it. Plus, most people, there've been lots of studies on this. Customers do not trust people who only have 5-star reviews. They just don't. Right? And they also, a bad review can make the other ones, by contrast, using a lot of contrast, the good ones look better, right? And I think you got a really pretty darn good story about this.
So I'm shopping for a bed. Last week it was green screen. This week it's a bed. I'm consumer of the year. And it's really hard. Really hard. 10,000 companies, right? And I'm lying on all these things all over the place, right? So I decided that I'm hearing such great things about this online bed company. And I decided to go to it and look for a competitor to the one I wanted to buy. So I'm looking at those air beds like Sleep by Number, Saatva. So I go on their website and sure enough, they have a lot of good reviews, but they also said the voice of the customer. They had testimonials and they proactively posted a testimonial from someone who didn't hate the bed, but she said, it's not for everyone. And I want to tell you why. Now that made them look even better and more authentic. And they have a mission stated front row center on their website that the customer is the most important thing to them. And they live the mission. by doing that. They really did.
And that's really, that's what we're talking about. So how much more do you trust somebody if they're like, hey, listen, I'm not for everybody. It makes you intriguing because so many businesses spend so much time telling you that they are for everyone, right? They were for everybody. So it really does prove again this point. And actually, I've got a kind of a crazy statistic that you might not believe. You've probably heard all this stuff, all these people warning you about bad reviews. Recently, Wombly did a study where they said that they found out that businesses that have about online reviews of 35 to up to 50%, that's half of their reviews that are negative, did about the same amount of sales as people that had, far less, negative reviews, almost all 5 stars. So that shows you that maybe these things aren't that bad, right? And there's also something else that most people forget is that, reviews themselves count about for 15% of all your search engine optimization, your search engine traffic. So having a bad review actually can help your SEO, believe it or not.
No.
No. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So,
but wait a minute. Nobody wants to get bad reviews, right? So what happens?
When was the last bad review you got?
Never. Never. But I've had clients that were, that were afraid to get on social media just for this purpose. And what we're trying to say is don't be afraid. That it's not, if it happens, it's always going to happen. And some of it is trolls and some of it are, are legitimate, and learn from it. Learn from what the mistakes were that were made. So, Kyle, you have a really good story about people that denied.
Oh, yeah. So, the thing is, when we say this, when we say, don't be so afraid, we don't mean deny it. We don't mean like, oh, I'm not going to listen to you guys. Because years ago, when I first was starting in this business, I remember seeing like, what was that Gordon Ramsay show, the Operation Makeover Restaurant, whatever it was. And he was trying to help this couple in Arizona, and they were not listening. He finally walked out. He was like, okay, you guys are actually hopeless. I can't save you. And that night, they denied everything that he had said. They were like doing all kinds of bad stuff, stealing from the staff, watering down drinks, whatever. And they denied everything. And so somebody said something bad on their Facebook page, and they immediately attacked them and said, you don't know what you're talking about. Well, somehow the word got back to the Reddit bonfire, and all of a sudden they had like 50,000 comments within 24 hours on their Facebook page from people from Reddit. But that still wasn't enough, because they still didn't learn. 2 days later, they claimed that their Facebook page had been hacked. And because they were doing all this stuff like, we're going to call the police on you, on you people, all this crazy stuff. And again, eventually the business was shut down. The page had to be taken down because they literally just refused to deal, which is never a good idea. Okay, so when we say don't be afraid, we are not saying deny. We are not saying dismiss or just say, oh, we don't care about what you say, right? So when you have a bad review, you should always, no matter what, have a plan. You got some good points on the plan. What's your plan?
Yeah, remember, every customer wants to be heard, and this is your opportunity as a business to say you care. You care about your customers. So go on and answer that review. First, have a plan in place to listen to that social media. Make sure you know who's getting notifications when somebody posts a review on all the major sites: Yelp, Google reviews, OpenTable, TripAdvisor if you're in the hospitality industry, and certainly on all the social media sites. Then answer. Prioritize the negative reviews first. Answer all reviews, compliment the ones, thank the ones that gave you good reviews, but answer those negative reviews. Don't take it off, don't delete it unless it's egregious or, says something that's profane. Then answer it, apologize. Don't fight online. Give the person a way to talk to a human being at a real telephone number or a real DM message, and then try to solve the problem offline. The idea is to turn your critics into advocates. That's when you win the game, because then you can convince them to go back and write the story again, the happy part of the story. And boy, does that do a lot for those people who read reviews. And 95% of people say that reviews influence their decision on what to buy and who to hire.
And I just heard recently that the two most powerful, believe it or not, what do you think they are? The two most powerful platforms across, on average for most businesses. What do you think they are?
Me or your audience? Google?
Facebook and Yelp. Google was third.
Oh my gosh.
Believe it or
Okay.
not, I would not have thought Facebook. Anyway, but so as Robin said, you got to have these things. If you have a plan, you always make sure you've got to have some kind of apology. You've got to have some kind of statement that you are committed to customer satisfaction. You got to have a way to take it offline, right? Those things in any plan. Robin's got a great plan, so just follow that. Why reinvent the wheel, right? All right. So wow, we're almost up to 10 minutes. Isn't it?
Yes,
What is it?
it's
Some kind of
happy
special
4th
day?
of July.
But there's something else.
It's something else. It's
What?
Social Media Day.
Social Media Day. Happy Social Media Day.
And who better to celebrate it with than Adman and Robin? Music
Oh,
time.
yeah. All right. So we'll see you next week. No, 2 weeks.